Have you ever been reading a dark academia novel and gotten so sucked into the atmospheric libraries and secret societies that you wish you could just step inside? Well, me too, but I thought that was never going to be really reasonable without a trust fund or all the connections that came with it. Until I found that there's not only a secret library / society in the heart of downtown San Francisco, but that I could go to it today. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to explore the Mechanics Institute, which is one of the oldest institutions in San Francisco, and do a little writing from there. And if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Abby. I'm the author of The Power of Shadows, which is a young adult fantasy novel, and I'm currently in a 30-day challenge to finish my current work in progress, which is a dark academia rivals to lovers novel called Potentia. And at the end of those 30 days, I'm going to be sending out to some beta readers through my newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed yet, my Substack is linked down below. And today I'm going to talk all about why not only this secret library is so cool, but why it is also really pertinent and related to my current work in progress. And I am so ecstatic to share. In order to get to this library, we have to go into downtown San Francisco. So I took the train there. It's a beautiful journey through the city. And once you see the towering skyscrapers of the financial district, you're close. But it's not necessarily the easiest to find. It's kind of on an off street. It's really close to one of the train stops, but there's just a sign that says Mechanical Institute, and in small text you see library. So the Mechanics Institute was founded in 1854 as an educational and cultural institution for out-of-work gold miners. After the gold rush and work had kind of dried up, a lot of people were still out here, and so their mission was to give them different resources and upskill them to do a lot of different jobs in the area. At the time, California had no colleges, no universities, not even a public library. And so with a few books, a chessboard, and a dream, they started this institution to help people get new opportunities. And when the Mechanics Institute was founded, a mechanic wasn't necessarily just what we're thinking of today with cars, but it was anybody who works with their hands, who was an engineer, who created things. So it was open to a wide range of people. And while it started focusing on more technical literature, it's now expanded where it does the arts and cinemas and all sorts of things. And they have a pretty comprehensive catalog that covers pretty much anything you could think of. Now, by 1857, they offered classes in woodworking, mechanical drawing, industrial design, electrical science, applied math, ironwork, and many more. Now, this is a membership-based institution. It's a nonprofit, but you do have to have a membership. Luckily, they offered day passes, so I was able to, just for $15, spend the day in here. But if you want to go for free, they offer free tours every Wednesday. So you can see kind of everything that I'm showing and have a little sample of the history of San Francisco. So once you get inside, you see this giant staircase going all the way up, and it's so beautiful with the ironwork. Apparently these the key insignia, the little spirals in the staircase, is supposed to symbolize the unlocking of knowledge, which I love, little like real life Easter eggs like that. And once you make your way up the staircase, you get to the first floor of the library. Now, the library is broken up into kind of 5 levels. You have the second floor, and then 2A, 2B, 3, and then 3A. And the staircases are pretty tight, so when you're kind of weaving through the stacks, they're low. Luckily, I'm pretty short, and I love a tight kind of secret space where it feels like you're going through the closet to Narnia, or you're going into a secret garden of some sort. So I thought it was even more magical because of it, but it is pretty tight, kind of weaving around in there. So first I explored some of the different levels, and then I found a nice little chair that was on level 2B, kind of overlooking these big windows that looked out into the city, and I sat down to get some work done. Now, normally I get my work done from coffee shops if I want to go out anywhere, as I'm sure most writers do. I love to have the hustle and bustle of people working around me and just generally immerse myself kind of in this community around. But here it was really quiet. There wasn't a lot of people who... There weren't a lot of people there, and it added to the element of it being almost secret. Everyone was super kind and helpful, and the librarians were super excited to see someone, so if you do want to go, you should definitely do it. But when I was there just on a Saturday, I don't think it was the busiest time, but it was a lovely space to just sit and get work done. Now, back to the history. In 1857, they began hosting industrial fairs in addition to their educational resources to try and help kickstart the industry in San Francisco, and they had even famous brand shows like Levi's and Ghirardelli, and this all fits in so perfectly into the research for Potentia. So a little bit more about my work in progress. Like I said, it's a dark academia rivals to lovers novel. It's all about physics, so you can defy the laws of physics if you understand them well enough, so there's necessarily a part of education and knowledge and understanding that comes into it, but the entire society is built up around the universities. So when you have kind of a city-state like New York, in the society, they're also centralized around a university, and the universities are very, very closely tied to the government themselves. So there are a lot of larger themes of the democratization of education and access to resources that you see in kind of all dark academia novels necessarily with the genre. But it was so lovely to be really kind of immersed in one of those settings in a library that had so many books. I mean, when I was going around, it was hard for me not to just pull every single book and want to read it and sit down and just like finish it in full there. And if I had a membership, I would have checked out probably a stack higher than I am tall. But it was the difference of just being able to have access to those resources is just crazy. And of course, love our public libraries. We have so many good ones here in San Francisco, but it was definitely similar to draw those parallels between kind of the society I'm crafting, which is much more similar to universities, paid universities, and something like this where you definitely still have to pay to get access to these resources. Anyway, so also another fun fact about the Mechanics Institute is that in 1903, Roosevelt gave an address there. Now, unfortunately, in 1906, like much of the rest of San Francisco, the original building was burned down in the fires, but they did build a new building that came out in 1910, and one of the oldest existing maps of San Francisco was kept safe in a safe in the Mechanics Institute, and so it survived the fires, and it's hanging currently in the library, which is really fun to see. So during this writing session, I got actually all of the scenes I needed to revise for this 30-day challenge done. So that was 13 total. I'd done a few before that, but I finished that off. If you want to see all the goals and the things I need to do in my strategy for getting them done before having a finished draft to send to beta readers, I have it in a video up here, the introduction to the challenge. But I got some great revisions done. I also got some great drafting done, and just being able to be surrounded by books and not necessarily go out looking for something, but to be walking through the stacks and remember something or notice something and pull it out and see, kind of just be able to flip through the book or read a chapter or two and see kind of how it inspires me and relates to what I'm working on. It was a very different experience and so much fun, and it made me remember how important libraries are and how incredible it is as a space for knowledge sharing. There's just something different to the atmosphere of being quite literally surrounded by stacks and being so immersed in the knowledge versus having something like a small text box or text input that you can search for all the knowledge in the world versus really being surrounded by knowledge. It's an incredible feeling, and if you haven't worked from a library recently, I highly recommend to go and support your local libraries as well. So after finishing my session, I packed up, and of course I got distracted pulling a bunch of books along the way, but they were closing. They're only open 10 to 5 on Saturday when I went, and they're not even open on Sundays, which is really unfortunate. And so I got a day pass, but would I get the membership? The membership is $150 a year, and they have access to a ton of different things like writing groups and other resources, which just seems so fun and cool. And when I first moved to the city, less than a year ago, I was looking online trying to find all the different writing resources and writing groups that were available, and funnily enough, it just didn't come up. So I know that they're not necessarily trying to be secret, unlike I know the title of this video says. They are revamping their website, which is supposed to come out soon, and they're definitely trying to serve the community and serve everyone in the community. In fact, they allowed women into the Mechanics Institute a lot earlier, before any of the other comparable societies. But yes, I'm still undecided on whether I'm going to get the membership, but it was an incredible day, and I highly recommend going if you have the opportunity to visit San Francisco anytime soon. And then after the library closed, I was close to one of the best bookstores in the city, City Lights, and so I went there and I got another reference book for Potentia, which is The Principia by Isaac Newton. And the bookstore owner did ask, why are you buying this? And I did not have a good enough answer for him at the time, but I'm really excited to kind of bookmark it and be able to consistently reference it. So as I'm developing the world, and obviously I have a foundation, I've taken a lot of classes in physics, but I'll be able to word for word see what the theorems were and exactly how we can bend those with magic. If you enjoyed the vibes of the library and secret societies, discussing the history of it, and dark academia, then I think you really might enjoy my current work in progress, Potentia. To get all of my latest writing updates and get notified as soon as the beta reading opportunity comes available, then subscribe to my Substack down below. And if you want to just hang out and get to know more of my writing journey and see where things go, then subscribe to my YouTube. And thanks for hanging out today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!